You're listening to the Ugly Truth Podcast with George and Christina Markoski, your weekly injection of science, insights, and myth-busting. For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.blog.
Hello and welcome back to The Ugly Truth.
Hi guys, welcome back today.
Now, we're going to talk about a big fat lie today.
A big fat lie about fat making you fat.
That's right, exactly. But as you know, what we want to do, we want to sacrifice some sacred cows, and today is one of them, and that's fat, because it's been vilified way too long. I've had enough, and we need to set the record
The truth
straight.
needs to be said, and we need to do some myth busting here today.
Yes, so fat first started getting vilified after a 1970 study. Now, what was that about, that study?
So basically, I've just got a few notes here because I really want to get my facts right for you guys. What happened in a nutshell was Dr. Keyes did a study across several countries, and this was decades ago.
1970.
Yeah. And basically, it examined heart risk based on lifestyle and dietary habits. And in those countries where people ate more fat, especially saturated fat, there were more cases of heart disease. And he concluded that fat caused the disease, basically. But the problem with this study is that he concluded with a complex equivalence. So just because both the fat and the intake of heart disease were higher among the same population doesn't mean that heart disease was caused by the fat consumption. So basically, he was saying that one thing equaled the other, but he didn't take into account
Smoking,
any other
sugar,
factors,
all that sort of stuff. So, but everyone jumped in the bandwagon, and low fat became very, very popular. And a lot of manufacturers jumped on board on this. And basically, especially if you're creating processed food, getting low fat is very, very easy because cereals are cheap to manufacture. So suddenly there was a big boom, and there was companies making shitloads of money from this whole thing.
And it was a whole marketing thing where they'd say, you know, oh, low fat this, low fat that.
Yes.
And people thought it was healthy, and people still today think that low fat is healthy.
I know, it's amazing how many people that are overweight that want to eat low fat to lose fat, but it doesn't work, and we're going to bust that myth today.
And they're eating high sugar, high carbohydrates.
That's right. It's the carbs and the sugar.
And it really frustrates me because my heart goes out to these people, and I've watched so many documentaries where these people that are overweight, they're just desperate for answers, and they're desperate for something that works, and they think they're doing the right thing, and they go through the food that they've brought. They say, you know, see, look, I'm doing everything I can. You know, I've got this low fat cereal, this low fat, you know, breakfast or whatever. And it's just like devastating because they're working their ass off. They're buying all this stuff that's supposed to be healthy,
but it's not working.
But nothing's working.
No. So we're going to talk about today. So basically, the way I got into low fat was back when I was a teenager. I had a lot of acne, and a friend of mine introduced me to the Pritikin diet. Mm-hmm. Nathan Pritikin back in the 70s invented the Pritikin diet, which was after this study, actually, just after this study.
Yeah.
And basically, heart disease was quite big in the world, and people were trying to cut it down. Mm-hmm. And what he did, he had these centres, the Pritikin centres, and he advocated low fat. I'm talking super low fat. He used to use canola oil, Nuttalex, all this sort of stuff, processed oils. So it's very, the diet was low fat, and compared to the standard diet, I suppose, if you cut out fat, you could improve your health. But there's a lot of things that you're cutting out that aren't good. So I went on that. See, Nathan Pritikin, funny enough, he ended up committing suicide.
Wow, yeah.
Maybe all that low fat just affected his brain, because you need fat for your cell membranes, and there's a lot of things we're going to talk about today. So with that study, they admitted some really important stuff. One, the Eskimos are into it, right? They eat high fat meals. And
they eat like
blubber,
whale blubber. Yeah.
They eat high fat, and they don't have heart attack.
Right.
Okay. Two, the Maasai, they eat high fat too, and they don't have heart attack. So you've got two indigenous populations that are eating a traditional high fat diet for generations and don't have problem with heart disease. Now,
for that study to like be relevant, the one that Dr. Keyes did about fat making you fat, you'd have to show 100% correlation between the fat making the people fat, but they didn't have 100% correlation.
No, they almost looks like they cherry picked what they wanted.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can't just have generations of people that are eating high fat with no heart disease and leave them out of the study. That's just silly. You know what I mean? So, because the Eskimos, they get a lot of omega-3 though too, which is thing. So
So you've got these two indigenous cultures that
there's more
have
than
very
that.
high fat, well, these two that
Well,
we're talking about in particular.
Eskimos, hardly any vegetables at all. And because there's not a lot of vegetables there.
So are they healthy? Are they fat? This
No,
is the question.
they're not fat. No. No. I mean, look, if you look at them, they're not skinny.
Yeah.
But the Maasai, they eat high fat. So in a cold environment, you need to evolve to have a bit of fat to protect you.
From
you can't
the cold,
be, you can't
yeah.
be skinny there.
But do they have heart disease?
No, they don't have heart disease. That's the important part. Mm-hmm. So and so you look at the Heart Foundation, right? And the Heart Foundation, what they're doing is trying to prevent heart disease.
Right.
And basically, they hate cholesterol. They hate saturated fat. They've been having a big go at it. And, I really think the Heart Foundation are really doing the wrong thing.
Right.
Okay? It's completely stupid what they're doing. Just stop doing what you're doing. That heart tick, so if you go shopping, there's certain products that got a little tick on them from the Heart Foundation. If you want to avoid getting a heart attack, avoid the tick. That's how bad it is, right?
Is that only in Australia?
They've got the Heart Foundation in America, but the Heart Foundation in America have recently changed.
Oh,
And they don't hate fat like they used to.
Right.
They're saying it's sugar, which is a lot closer. But the Heart Foundation in Australia. So who has got the tick of approval for Heart Foundation? Nestle.
Nestle?
Nestle.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got like Milo cereal, which is full of carbs and sugar, and that's
is
apparently
so
good for your
bad.
heart.
Yeah.
McDonald's have got meal deals,
You're
quite a few of
kidding.
them. They've got the tick.
Of the Heart Foundation.
Yes.
So you can obviously pay to get this tick.
Well,
It's good marketing.
they say that you can only earn a tick and not pay for it, but I don't know how you earn it. It sounds a little bit dodgy to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
really. So basically, the Heart Foundation tick is a complete farce, and that's one good way of looking at what you don't want to do. Because
Right.
does the Heart Foundation tick any vegetables fresh in the vegetable aisle? No. Do they tick any meat? No.
Oh, it's only processed food,
That's
isn't it?
right. So they only tick processed, highly processed food. So, and processed food is just not good for you. That's the fact of it, right?
Yeah.
The thing about processed food, there's a lot of profit in processed food. So there's always some marketing going on saying how good processed food is. It's got a tick of approval here. It's low fat, or it's this, or it's that. Added vitamin A and D or whatever. It's all loaded marketing crap. Really is. So if you want to stay healthy here in Australia, stay away from the Heart Foundation tick. I mean, they've got Nuttelex. Right, Nuttelex is a brand. What it is, it's
like a butter margarine spread.
It's a margarine.
That you put on your bread. Yeah.
So the way they make margarine, the way they make oil into margarine is by hydrogenating it. So it's a trans fat. It's the worst fat you can have. It's so bad for you, and that's going to tick.
Does this give you cellulite and?
Trans fat
Yeah.
gives you cellulite. Not only that, it's highly toxic, right?
Because it's so heavily processed.
If it wasn't the food, you'd probably class it as a toxic chemical. They got to dye the stuff and put flavour in it to make it look like butter. I can't believe it's not butter. Well, it's not. That's
I
why.
used to think that Nuttelex was healthy.
Yes,
option.
I did too. Because
of all the marketing.
I was on a Pritikin diet, and I used to
Yeah.
get my Nuttelex, even though it's a little box full of chemicals, right? With a little heart tick on it, and I used to eat that crap.
Every day,
Right?
yeah.
That is just terrible. It's not even real. It's not real food. It's non-food. Now, I'm sure if you put it in your backyard, ants and animals wouldn't eat it. A bit like McDonald's. They did that study where you could leave that burger out for how long and nothing would eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've also got examples where they've got like an organic vegetable and a non-organic vegetable, and they put it out like in the outback, and then the animals only eat the organic one and they leave the
Animals are pretty smart.
non-organic one.
Exactly. So basically, if you want to be healthy in general, it's about staying out of processed foods. See,
Yeah, so it's getting back to having whole foods.
yes,
And real whole food.
And the challenge is people like the Heart Foundation, other companies like that, they don't give endorsements to whole foods because no one's going to make any money out of it. So there's no benefit. They don't promote that sort of stuff.
Well, let's face it, the big companies are the ones that are making all this processed food.
Yes, it's all the big companies, and they make processed food, and processed food is shit, no matter what they say on it. Even if it says you're going to lose weight. I mean, they had this thing about that guy that lost weight on Subway. Subway's all processed crap, right? Sure, some guy lost weight on Subway. I don't know how he did it, but really, why would you want to eat that stuff? It damages your body. It's really bad. So the thing that causes fat is sugar and carbs.
So that's what actually makes you fat.
That's what makes you fat, not fat. Now, fat has got a whole lot of high calories in it, but people that go on the ketogenic diet. So the ketogenic diet is high fat.
High fat.
Like over 60% of your calories come from fat, and I eat a lot of fat, and I'm not fat, am I?
Exactly. I mean,
I'm
on a high fat diet. Has it made me fat?
No. Actually, we love our fat. We have fat all the time. And my favourite fat is saturated fat, right?
Right.
So even, people are saying polyunsaturated fat, and I'm not saying it's bad for you.
So what's the difference between all these fats? Because it can be very confusing. Because I know you've got obviously fat as in like physical fat that you would get on a steak that most people cut off to try and be healthy.
So let's talk about fats. Trans fat are the worst, right?
So what are trans fats?
Trans fat is fats that have been chemically changed. Like, for example, Nuttlex, that's trans fat. Trans fat, they put...
Vegetable oil?
A vegetable that's been changed.
Right.
Yep, so they put extra hydrogen carbons on it to make it a bit more stable.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not good. So that's trans fat. So trans fat, let's throw that out. We don't want to touch that stuff. Right. So then...
But it can be hard for people to identify. How are they supposed to know what's got trans fats in it and what doesn't? Can you turn something around and read the label? Or
basically, if it's processed, it's usually got trans fat.
It's usually got... That's a rule of thumb.
A rule of thumb, if it's processed, it's not good.
Okay.
So what oils are good? Oils, like let's say avocado.
Yeah.
Right? It's an avocado. It's fresh. That's a monounsaturated fat. It's really good for you. It's fantastic. Coconut oil. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. And that's why coconut oil at room temperature is actually hard.
Right.
Right? So basically, if you cook in polyunsaturated oil has got a very low boiling temperature, smoke temperature. So it actually goes rancid very easy, but also gets damaged from the heat. So cooking with saturated fat. So what I like to cook with is lard and coconut oil. Those two things are great. See, lard has been vilified. I love lard.
Because I recently even found out that cooking with olive oil, if you heat that up and then cook your food with it, it's not good for your body.
No, see, olive oil is fantastic. I love olive oil.
Yeah,
olive
but cold.
That's part of the Mediterranean diet, which is awesome. And but olive oil needs to be consumed cold.
Yeah, which I was quite shocked to find out that if you don't obviously have it cold and you do use it and you heat it up and you fry things in it, it gives you cellulite.
Yeah, so the thing with, absolutely, so the thing is about...
And they had, I was listening to another podcast, I can't remember who it was, they were saying, now these days babies are actually being born covered in cellulite.
Wow, that's because the parents have got bad.
Yeah, the parents having obviously all the wrong types of oil and stuff when they're eating.
So let's talk about saturated fat, because that's what's been vilified the most.
Yeah.
Let's face it, everyone wants low fat yogurt, low fat milk, low fat cheese, low fat. They've got Weight Watchers bread, low fat bread. I don't know. Hey, I didn't realise bread could be high fat anyway. Carbs. But what a lot of people like to do, try to be healthy, is cut the fat off their meat. Is that good or bad? Let's discuss that.
Yeah, well, I think if it's grass-fed organic, then you should eat the fat.
Yes.
But if it's not,
processed,
then...
well, you shouldn't even eat the meat if it's processed.
Yeah.
But, okay, so what happens is fat is a storage mechanism, right? We've evolved to have. And what fat does is fat stores all your nutrients. So if you get a grass-fed organic animal, the fat is actually full of vitamins and full of nutrients. It's really good. So
that would almost be the healthiest part to eat.
It's the best part to eat, right?
Wow,
absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's full of vitamins. It's fantastic. Fat-soluble vitamins.
A lot of people would be freaking out right now going, oh my God, no, you can't eat the fat.
So the fat's the best part. Now, the challenge is, and you sort of hit on this, the challenge is when you have farm-raised factory animals that are filled with antibiotics and eating grains that have got fungus in them and they've got toxins and chemicals, your fat also stores all your toxins and chemicals.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like...
In that case, you want to cut the fat off.
Yes, because the worst part of of factory farmed animals is the fat. That's the worst part because it's full of toxins and full of chemicals. The best part of organic and grass-fed is the fat.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between fat and fat. I mean, I try to eat most of my food organic and grass-fed. And I love the fat and I eat as much fat as I can. I love the fatty bit. And the butcher sort of looks at me funny. And, when I get mince,
always ordering high fat.
Yeah, so I sort of say, could I have some mince? And everyone's like, wants lean mince. And I'm saying, this is organic grass-fed, great. I want the fat part on there, as much fat as it, because it makes it taste better. We've evolved to love fat. I mean, fat is one of those things, humans evolved to love sugar, fat, salt, because those three things were very valuable to us but now with the oversupply of food, things have changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I love fat. I think it's great. I love being ketogenic. So what's ketogenic? We spoke about it a little bit in our
we have
podcast,
touched on it,
but I'd like to talk a little bit more about it. Basically,
and how fat can help you get there.
I've bought my little ketogenic thing here. So
what is this for people who obviously aren't watching the video?
Yes, so this is you're right. This is the Freestyle Optimum Pro Neo, Optimum Neo.
Freestyle Optimum Neo.
Yep, and basically what it does, it checks your blood ketones. And with your blood ketones, anything between 0.5 and 3 millimolar per litre.
That's it.
I've written on the back there. Basically, that means you're in ketosis. And what happens when you're in ketosis is we actually start using fat to create fuel. And your brain loves fat.
So you're breaking down the fat on your body.
Yes, absolutely. But also it stops you from being catabolic, and it's really healthy for you. So it's very anti-inflammatory. And the ketogenic diet was first used for people with epilepsy and things like that because it protects your brain.
Right.
And people that go really deep diving, they can get oxygen toxicity from too much pressure on oxygen. However, if you go keto first, it's going to protect your brain from that too. Mm-hmm. So I actually go to a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Right? That's where you go into a oxygen chamber under high pressure, like it's 2.4 atmospheres or 3 atmospheres, something like that, 1.6. But anyway, and what it does, it concentrates the oxygen inside your blood, which really is good for you. Mm-hmm. However, I like to go there when I'm in ketosis, just to protect myself, because too much oxygen can create seizures or it can be quite dangerous.
Or could you get like oxygen poisoning?
Yes, the oxygen, funny enough, is good and bad, depending on how much you've got of it. Mm-hmm. Too much oxygen is not good.
Yeah, so what do you do to get into ketosis? You have good fat, like MCT oil?
Okay, so get to ketosis, there's two ways of doing it. There's nutritional ketosis, and that's where you fast. Mm-hmm. I'm actually in the middle of a dry fast at the moment, which means no eating or no drinking. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do a dry fast, and kiddies, don't try this at home until you hear my podcast on it, because there's a few things you need to do for safety, but this is not the right time to talk about it. But by dry fasting, I get into ketosis a lot quicker because you're putting more pressure on the body.
Yeah.
But a little trick that you can use is using MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides from coconut oil. Mm-hmm. And basically, by having a bit of fat, you push your body into ketosis sooner and trick it into it, which is great. Saves you a lot of time. And when you're fasting, if you have a bit of oil, it stops you from being hungry and just makes it really easy. So it's a great little trick. I love it.
So that's good fat, and that's what you do to protect your brain.
Yes, exactly. So what is bad for your heart? Let's talk about what really is bad for your heart.
What causes heart disease?
Yes.
So it's obviously not fat.
No.
It's sugar and carbohydrates.
Heart disease is, has grown quite a bit lately. It's the second biggest killer in the world.
A massive
in the Western
explosion,
world.
yeah.
And really, what's happened, we've had a lot more processed food. And if the thing is fructose, right, which is made from corn, and corn has been subsidised by the government, and there's a lot of big industry in corn, and they use it in everything as a filler, cheap filler. Mm-hmm. And basically, people are eating so much corn, it's crazy. And that's the big challenge, because corn spikes your insulin levels very high.
It's very high in sugar.
Yes. So, because if you go, let's say you go to a fast food place. Let's say you go to McDonald's and you get a chicken nugget.
It's probably like 80% corn.
70% corn.
Oh, okay. I was close.
Having a drink like Coca-Cola.
Shocking.
Coca-Cola. It's corn.
How much? What percentage?
99%.
Oh my God, wow.
Because it's a cheap way of making sugars, making fructose, right?
So corn's obviously cheaper than sugar.
Absolutely. So the challenge with corn, if you go to a supermarket, most processed foods are all made up of corn. That's the cheap filler they put in it.
Yeah.
So it's just full of corn. So when you're going shopping, just every aisle is just corn, 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 corn.
So processed corn gives you heart disease.
Well, what happens is if your fasting insulin levels, right, if they go up, and that means that you're not insulin sensitive,
Yeah.
and if your fasting glucose goes up, that is a very big indication of heart disease.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So what are the two things you should look out for? Your fasting
Insulin
blood sugar
and
level?
your fasting blood sugar. See, I like to test my blood sugar here.
What levels should they be at?
Okay, so now this is Australian units, so they're going to be different in America because they use a different system for some reason. So, and I had to convert all this because I got this from American research.
Right.
But and the normal standard stuff from your government guidelines, I think, is way too liberal because they're saying. So, I like to keep my fasting insulin between 3.8 to 4.7 glucose per millimolar per liter. Right, and then 2 hours after you eat, the insulin spike. That's very important too. So you don't want more than the 2.2 rise in that spike
Because you don't want it to jump up.
Yes, because what happens is when you get blood glucose in your system causes a lot of damage and inflammation. So regulating your glucose is very, very important. Having stable glucose levels is very, very important. One of the most important things. So producing too much insulin and having too much blood glucose is one of the major things that ages us. And I think the reason calorie restriction makes you live longer, they've done studies where if you eat less calories, you live longer. The reason it works is because it increases your insulin sensitivity and reduce the amount of insulin that you produce and have in your blood and reduce your fasting blood glucose.
Right, yeah.
So I really think if you want to reduce inflammation, you want to live longer, and you want to lose weight, you've got to keep an eye on your blood glucose levels.
And one of the best ways to do that would probably be to go on a high-fat diet, such as the paleo diet.
Going a high-fat diet is a very important way to do it. And the reason, it's about cutting out carbs and sugar. And then what have you got left? Protein and fat. And the challenge is you don't want to eat too much protein. That's why you need to eat the fat.
Right.
Because we don't have a lot of
balances
choices.
It out,
So we only got three choices really of macronutrients. We've got carbs, we've got fat, we've got protein. Too much protein is bad as well.
Right.
You need a certain amount, but not too much. So that's why you need the fat. You put good fats in there to make up for the lack of carbohydrates. Because basically anything that's made out of a grain is going to have carbohydrates in it. And we eat a lot of grains. You know, this all started 10,000 years ago with the agricultural revolution. And after the Paleolithic period stopped. And grains have been our mainstay because they're cheap and easy to produce, easy to store. But we haven't evolved for them. They're not that good for you.
And our body can't absorb any nutrients from them.
Yeah, well, they can, but it's hard. So, this whole grain diet and eat more grains and grains. I think grains are just deadly. They really are. Look, in limited amounts, it's okay to have certain grains. Certain grains have got some amazing benefits, but you need to actually, because a grain is really a seed. So you need to activate it. Because seeds and grains have evolved for us not to be able to digest them.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
So when you say activate, you mean like soak it overnight?
Yes, or ferment them and things like that. So a lot of traditional ways of preparing food, they've known this. They've got a lot of wisdom there. And I actually, because I went paleo for a while and now I'm sort of half paleo, half traditional because I believe that the wisdom of the way our ancestors ate is quite smart, and what they've done is they've worked out ways to make things more digestible through cooking, through grinding, through fermenting, through activating and things like that. So I think I like to go back to that sort of those nourishing traditions.
Yeah, that's great. So people who have, I guess, skim milk or low-fat milk, they'd be better off having full cream.
Of course. Well,
that would be healthier and healthier option.
Well, milk is a whole thing. Okay, so the problem with milk is it's damaged, it's processed, the stuff that you get in the store. And skim milk is even worse
Because it would be more highly processed,
the
wouldn't
more
it?
you process something, get it away from its natural way it is, the worse it is. So the best thing to do is have raw milk. Now, the thing is, everyone's against raw milk. They're like, oh my God, it's actually illegal in most countries, in most places, to buy raw milk. And what happened was, back in the day when milk first started becoming available and they started producing it in great quantities, and when they were mixing different cows and different milk in big containers, people were getting sick from milk. And that's because they had sick cows, and mixing them from different cows is not good.
Yeah.
And so then they decided to pasteurize the milk. And that's when they heat it up really high, kill all the enzymes, kill everything alive in it, and bring it down. For mass-produced milk, yes, it does make it safer, but it's not really that good for you because it creates, when you heat milk that high, it creates things that we can't digest, that our immune system goes nuts when you have pasteurized milk. That's why live milk is so much better. It's got the enzymes in it. It's more of a food.
Absolutely. So people having their, their option of the skim milk with their coffee or their tea or whatever
You're better off having full fat milk. Go as natural as you can.
If you need to have milk.
Yes, if you need to have milk.
And most people like to have it. A better option and a more healthier option is to go full cream.
Yes, absolutely. Full cream. Or do what I do and put butter in your coffee instead.
Absolutely.
Raw, organic, grass-fed butter. It's going to bring you to ketosis. It tastes awesome, but you got to blend it. And it'll stop you from getting hungry.
And what you can also do, so what George is referring to is the bulletproof tea or coffee.
Yes.
So this is where you put butter, tea, boiling water, and you can put MCT oil, so the medium chain triglyceride.
Yep. A bit of butter. I've changed to ghee now.
Right, yeah.
Right, so then you've got less proteins.
Or you could put a teaspoon of brain octane instead of the MCT.
Yeah, that's from Dave Asprey from Bulletproof.
And then what you do is you blend that all up and it comes out basically like a latte. And I've actually done a video about how to make a bulletproof tea or coffee.
It'll be on you put it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll pop it on the YouTube channel so
yep.
you guys can have a look at that. That's under my Paleo Babe channel. And yeah, I guess that's even one step again higher in fat and healthier option to having the full cream milk, because I understand that obviously you don't want to compromise your lifestyle, you don't want to cut out milk completely, and there should be an alternative that you can sort of swap to rather than having to just quit it cold turkey. But
look, having a bit of milk is not that bad.
Yes, but if you're going to do it, you might as well have full cream.
That's right, exactly.
Because skim milk is not a better option.
Forget the low fat. Anything low fat, don't touch it.
It's not a healthier option.
It's processed. It's
a complete myth.
Unless celery is low fat, but it's not processed. That's
doesn't
fine.
Have any fat.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's fine. But I'm saying anything with a label on it, low fat and being processed is bad. Because
or
to take
anything
it out,
that they're removing the fat from that would otherwise be high fat.
Yes.
That's not healthy.
Yes, but if there's no natural fat, that's fine as well. Vegetables are fine. So the thing is though, cholesterol, right? Is cholesterol bad for your heart? Because let's talk about cholesterol. Everyone goes, oh my God, cholesterol. We need to.
I don't think so.
Good thinking. I like it. Okay, let me talk a little bit about cholesterol.
I don't know all the facts, but from off the top of my head about what I know about fat, I don't think cholesterol would be bad for you.
Well, you need cholesterol for your cell membranes to produce your hormones, to create bile acids to actually absorb fat, and also vitamin D. A lot of stuff you need. Now, your liver actually makes cholesterol.
So it's a good thing.
Well, why would your liver make cholesterol if it was bad for you? That just doesn't make sense, does it?
No. So when people talk about lowering your cholesterol, what are they talking about? What the heck are they referring to?
Okay. There's different types of cholesterol. There's HDL and LDL. And HDL's the cholesterol that pulls cholesterol back out of your arteries, and LDL deposits in the arteries. But the thing is, the reason you deposit cholesterol in your artery is because of inflammation. So you reduce the inflammation, and then you don't have to do it. It's a protection mechanism.
Right.
So it's a bit like if you've got a wall and someone keeps smashing holes in it and you put plaster on it, right, to cover it, you're not going to say, well, let's stop this plaster, because the plaster's not the problem. It's the actual holes in the wall. The inflammation is the problem.
Right.
That's the challenge. So cholesterol, the whole cholesterol thing is a complete myth. They actually did a study in...
That's very interesting, yeah.
They did a study with over 9,000 participants between ages of 20 to 97, right? with saturated fat. And what happened was they tested their cholesterol. And what they found was, instead, the research showed the lower the cholesterol, the higher risk of dying.
So having high cholesterol is a good thing?
I wouldn't say that either. Having cholesterol in the right range is a good thing.
Okay.
So having if you've got really high cholesterol, it means you've got a lot of inflammation, and that's a bad thing.
And it's there too.
But if your cholesterol is really low, you don't have enough, that's bad as well. You need to have it in the right range, like anything.
So what is the right range then? How do we get this cholesterol thing right?
Well, okay, basically, you want the right ratio between HDL and LDL, for one. Getting the ratio is really important. But not only that, is you want to reduce inflammation so you've got the right levels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little link in the show notes to give you what it is. So, for example, eggs have been vilified because they're full of cholesterol.
And full of fat.
See,
yeah.
I love eggs. I think they're great. And the yolk, because it's amazing what people do, is
they just have the egg white, take out the yolk, thinking it's healthier.
And the best part of an egg is actually the yolk. It's full of vitamins and it's full of cholesterol, which is fantastic. Now, the challenge is, with eggs, if you cook the yolk,
that can be bad,
It's bad because what happens is it oxidizes the cholesterol, and that does cause inflammation. So really what you want to do, but the white part of the egg, if you have that raw, it creates a biotin deficiency in your body. So it's bad as well. So you need to cook the white part to be healthy, and you need to have the yellow part, the yolk, raw.
Yeah, so instinctively, I love having my eggs done exactly like that. I love having the white cooked and the yellow just undercooked. So it's
that's the best way to do it. That's why scrambled eggs aren't good.
Right.
Because you're scrambling and cooking the yellow.
The whole thing,
but having, eggs sunny side up.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It's really good for you.
Or even over easy. That would be fine.
At one stage, I went overboard with eggs. I used to eat 48 a week.
So that can lead to an intolerance, obviously.
It could, yes. But I was wanted to eat more protein. I was, working out a lot and stuff like that. But I found even eating that many, it didn't really affect my cholesterol at all.
Wow, yeah.
Didn't make much difference at all. So, because the cholesterol you eat does not control how much cholesterol you get. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, do you want to keep your cholesterol in the right range? Yes, you do. However, there's people that take all these drugs to lower their cholesterol.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest scams ever. Pharmaceutical companies are making a shitload of money out of people trying to lower the cholesterol, and they're doing it the wrong way because they're not. If you've got high cholesterol, you've got a lot of inflammation in your body, so you need to reduce the inflammation. You don't want to artificially use drugs to lower the cholesterol, which is actually saving your body from damage.
Yeah, because the cholesterol's going there to protect the body.
That's right. So what you're doing is you're doing double the damage.
Wow.
And people that take anti-cholesterol drugs just don't do it. It's crazy.
But what can they do instead?
Okay. Well, what you need to do is you can't just. You got to be very careful with this because I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving you medical advice. For one, but two,
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Yes. But what needs to happen is the root cause is inflammation. So you need to actually eat a diet that's not processed food. You need to cut down your stress and eat whole foods. That's going to reduce your inflammation, anti-inflammatory foods, and when you reduce inflammation, that's going to reduce your cholesterol. So
you could take a look at the paleo diet, which consists of basically whole foods.
Yes, that's right. And eat more fat. That's good. You know what I mean? So the thing is...
Stop being scared of fat.
Well, the thing is, people that try to eat no saturated fat and eat monounsaturated fats and stuff like that, what's happening is they're eating a lot of omega-6. And omega-6 increases inflammation as well. That's the challenge. So what you need to do is you get your ratio between omega-3 and omega-6 has to be pretty right, because back in the paleo days we had a lot more omega-3 than omega-6, because what happened was animals used to eat grass, and we'd kill the animal, eat the fat, and we'd have omega-3. Now a lot of farm factory produced animals, they're eating grains, which is full of omega-6, so their fat is full of omega-6. So what's happening is everything in our chain is omega-6, and then you're having all these oils, polyunsaturated oils that are omega-6, and the ratio's out. It's not good for your cell membranes, but also it's causing inflammation.
That all sounds very complicated, but just to sort of give it a breakdown, it's about going back to basics, going back to eating food, whole foods, but not only that, making sure that the animals have had a life where they're healthy as well. Because if what you're eating isn't healthy, then that's not going to make you healthy.
It's almost like karma. We need to look after our animals, be nicer to them if you're going to, you know what I mean? Because the better we treat them, the better for your health. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I really believe that's very important. You've got to be ecological with this sort of stuff. So, but I guess a good way of improving omega-3, and this is what I do anyway as well, I take fish and krill oil, right? So you're taking fish and krill oil, at least that way you've got your omega-3 every day.
Wouldn't eating a normal fish be better because that's not processed?
Okay, fish, this is the challenge with fish. Because of all our coal-fired gas plants that make electricity, we're dumping a lot of mercury into the ocean.
Yeah.
So the bigger the fish, the more mercury. So that's a big challenge at the moment. So eating fish is difficult because a lot of fish is full of mercury. So you're getting omega-3, but you're also getting a big dose of mercury. And see, mercury, they discovered that was bad for you back in the day when you had people that were called the Mad Hatters, right? So people that used to make hats, they used to use mercury to mold the hats or something. Right? And because of that, they turned mad. They get mercury poisoning. Because they used to use mercury to cure syphilis, and they used to drink it for all sorts of stuff. It's amazing.
Oh, didn't like Chinese emperors used to drink it because they thought it gave them superpowers?
Yes. Unfortunately, it didn't.
And it just gave them mercury poisoning and killed them.
Yes. So I think with syphilis, what it did is killed the syphilis, but also the host as well.
Right.
Because mercury is so poisonous. So the challenge is you want to stay away from mercury. So the big fish, like you got sharks, you got swordfish, you got tuna and things like that, they've got more mercury. The little baby fish, they're fine. Right. Because each step up the food chain, you're increasing the level of mercury. Right? So that's why krill oil, because they're tiny little things, they're right at the bottom of the food chain. They're basically mercury free.
Right.
And they're really good for you because they've got the antioxidants and things like that for you as well. So having omega-3 is very important. Now, a lot of vegetarians, they try to get omega-3 from linseed oil and things like that. Unfortunately, the challenge with linseed oil is it goes rancid very easy, which is not good. So a lot of it is rancid, but you really need the oil of fish. It's very difficult for vegans and vegetarians to get the proper omega-3. It's very difficult. And they've got a big challenge because getting fat as a vegetarian is a lot harder.
Oh, yeah. Be a zero-fat diet, practically.
Well, you can get fat from avocados, coconut.
Oh, yeah.
There's fat. You can get fat, but you got to be very careful. So you got to be really good at what you do if you're going to be vegan or vegetarian to get enough fats. I reckon it'd be very hard.
Yeah. So it sounds very difficult to even get omega-3 because you can't eat real fish because it's full of mercury. So your alternative, I guess, is to have the supplement.
Okay. I take krill oil and fish oil just to make it easy. However, what I've done is I've cut out most omega-6s out of my diet.
Right.
So I have a bit of olive oil. Olive oil is a mixture between 3, 6, 9. Nice little mixture there. Basically...
Yeah, so vegans have got plenty of fat. They've got, olive oil, avocado.
Olives are beautiful.
Coconut. Yeah,
Yes.
I was wrong what I said before. That doesn't make sense at all.
So if you eat grass-fed meat, that's full of omega-3.
Yeah.
So it's fine. So I'm getting a lot of omega-3 from all the fat that I eat. However, I'm taking the fish and krill oil just to make sure.
Yeah.
And plus, it's good anti-inflammatory. It's good for you, and I take it. I like it. I think most people taking 1 or 2 fish oil and a krill oil could be good for you. Yeah.
So that's a fat that's obviously good for you and anti-inflammatory.
Yes.
So what was causing the heart disease in the end? Was it the sugar and carbs and the processed food, obviously?
That's right. Inflammation, right, and stress. I mean, if you look at the statistics, you're more chance of dying of a heart attack on a Monday morning.
Because you got to go to work.
Because you've got to go to work. So stress is a big factor as well.
Now that's
Mondayitis. So that's pretty bad as well. So, having the job that makes you stressed or unfulfilled is probably not good. And that's one thing I suppose we need to look at. It's very important because that'd be stressful doing something 5 days a week that you don't like doing.
Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
tough. So, I think this myth is busted. What do you reckon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so look.
Does fat make you fat? Drum
Fat-
roll, please.
No, it doesn't. So,
Busted.
look, with any dietary changes, make sure that you go see someone that's qualified to help you with that. Mm-hmm. And I think you shouldn't be going cold turkey in anything, but you slowly build yourself up. But me, I love my fat. I eat fat every day, and it's awesome. It's fantastic.
And if you want to check it out and learn more about it, look into the paleo diet, I guess, because that's a great way to start.
Or the keto. The ketogenic diet.
Ketogenic diet as well.
Is pretty full on too. It's hard to do the ketogenic diet. The paleo diet's more fun.
I think having a bit of both is always good.
I think so. I agree. Excellent.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For everyone listening, thank you once again. Stay well and see you next episode.
For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.log.